Good morning, everybody. It all has like the chatting and happy to see each other. All right, so welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church in Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests. My name is Louisa Villeneuve, and I'm a board member, and I'm happy to serve as your worship associate today. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of this campus. We acknowledge our harmful colonial histories and commit to decolonizing our own practices, to learning new ways of being in community with each other and with the land itself. Today's service is led by Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart. Music today is led by Dr. Zenaida Robles with Wells Lang and the Neighborhood Chorus. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. Families with young children are always welcome in the sanctuary, and there is an additional play area for the very youngest in our narthex. For adults and older youth who don't need assistance, there's a quiet table close to the organ. And I have two announcements. Would you like to buy a cute gift for someone special in your life? Shop the Fair Trade table today after the service. In partnership with Trades of Hope, every purchase helps to empower women out of poverty and human trafficking, supports girls' education, provide clean water, medical care, and more. We're also, announcement number 2, starting a new family tradition at Neighborhood Church, Meet the Kindness Elves, right up front. They're here to remind us to be there for each other, especially during the holiday season. Each week from now until Christmas, they will offer you ideas for how you can practice small acts of kindness and community. Check back on Instagram or the newsletter each week, or look out for their messages in the narthex on Sundays. They also have a mailbox, so you can write to them and let them know what kind of acts you've been doing. This week, they suggest you write happy messages on the sidewalk with chalk. Maybe leave a message for your neighbors at school or on Sunday at Neighborhood. Chalk is available outside after the service. And up next is Carl with an announcement about Dining for Dollars.
Good morning. My name is Carl Puchlik, and I am part of your 2026 Dining for Dollars Committee. Before I go any further, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge someone who meant a great deal to this community and this campaign. Many of you knew Martin, who chaired this committee with such heart and humor and dedication. Martin passed away earlier this year, and so much of what Dining for Dollars is, the spirit of generosity, creativity, and connection, is because of his leadership. We carry his legacy into this new year with gratitude. Today we are officially launching this year's Dining for Dollars campaign, so buckle up. The fun starts now. My husband Jeff and I just joined Neighborhood this year, and one of the very first things we did outside of regular service was a Dining for Dollars event. We spent an afternoon making soup with people we had just met, and somehow no one got burned. It was great. We made food, we made friends, we learned something new, and instantly we felt connected to this community. It was basically the perfect welcome. If you're new to Dining for Dollars, here's the quick version. This is our annual fundraising campaign where you, yes, you, get to dream up an event, an experience, or service and offer it to support the church. It can be almost anything. Dinner parties, family activities, kids events, special tours, a guided hike with a beer reward at the end, a class where you teach something you're good at, or even a professional consultation. Some people offer a weekend at a vacation home or tickets to a show or game. Truly, if you can dream it, you can offer it. And every dollar raised goes towards supporting Neighborhood and its mission. Once you submit your events and offerings, the committee creates an online printed catalog. On January 25th, we will host sign-up tables and service where you can bid or pay to attend an event. Some offerings are competitive, others are set fee, and in some cases I've been told it's very competitive. If you donated and participated before, thank you. If you're never hosted, this is a fantastic year to jump in. Think of something fun, something you love, something that brings people together. We're here to help brainstorm, and we promise your idea is not too small, too big, or too weird. Events can take place anytime in 2026. I'll be outside after service with forms. You can also find everything on the church website and newsletter. The deadline to submit your event is December 31st. And if you're not donating an event this year, I hope you join the fun and bid on January 25th. Once again, I'm Carl, and I'm truly excited to be part of your 2026 Dining for Dollars Committee. Thank you.
Our order of service this morning is available as a link in the Sunday email and online by scanning the QR code on the back of your hymnal with your phone camera. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, an inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart. I use pronouns she, they, or ella when I am speaking Spanish. I am a white femme presenting woman with silvering hair. I wear jewelry. I have several tattoos. I am temporarily able-bodied. I'm of above average height and weight. And today I am wearing a black ministerial robe with a red stole that was made by Nancy Busaka. I and the members of our worship team and our choir welcome you here to this church today. Whether you're with us here in person or you're joining us online this morning, we extend a special welcome to you. Welcome to the season of holiday. Welcome to the season of lights and long nights. Welcome to the season of rebirth. No one is ever really ready for Christmas, writes my colleague Maureen Killeran. If we were all really prepared, she writes, if every gift we had contemplated had already been obtained, if every present was beautifully wrapped and beribboned, if all the goodies our friends deserve were already baked and cooled and stored just so, If each and every person we love was gathered for our celebration, if we never snapped at someone we care about or stopped short of being all that we could be, if our minds were 100% loving and our hearts were 100% generous, they truly would be ready. And truly, we would not need Christmas quite so much. So come Christmas, most needed of seasons, come with the reminder that love does not depend on perfection, but on willingness to risk connection. Come into the unready manger of our hearts, that we may feel the warmth of new life and give flesh to the promise of hope that cries to bring healing into our world. This morning marks the second Sunday in the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, recognizing the transforming and transformative power of God in the world and looking forward to the birth of Jesus in a spiritual light. And Christianity is not alone in celebrating light this time of year. Hanukkah, of course, solstice as we approach the longest night here in a few weeks, and Kwanzaa, all of these celebrations involve candles, fire, and lights as part of the celebration of that spirit-filled tradition. Each week until Christmas, we are lighting a new candle on our Advent wreath. The circle of greenery reminds us of the eternal cycle of life, without beginning and without end. And the candles remind us that we are called to be a light amid the darkness that is facing us in this world right now. The light of Advent grows brighter and brighter each week towards personal peace, towards shared joy, and more love in the world. So this morning we will light the first and the second candles, a candle for hope and a candle for peace. We can bring our hope into the world only with the practice of peacemaking. Our caring community aspires to be a source of freedom from violence and exclusion. May we come together, as the poet June Jordan wrote, may we come together and be the ones we have been waiting for. Together may we strive to create a lasting peace.
In singing our opening hymn, number 224, Let Christmas Come.
When Hello. Good morning, everyone. I would like to invite all the children to come up for a story. So our story this morning is I Got the Christmas Spirit by Connie Schofield Morrison, illustrated by Frank Morrison. I woke up to the spirit of the season, rise and shine. I heard the spirit in the air, ding dong ding. I've been saving the spirit all year long, jingle jingle. I sang the spirit from my heart, fa la 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 la. If you can see her, she's really singing. I tasted the sweet spirit crunch, yum yum. I shivered as the spirit nipped my nose, achoo. I swirled and twirled around the spirit, swish, swish. And they have something going on that we don't really get here. Do you see what's happening? Is it snowing? I sparkled in the spirit of the lights, bling, bling. I felt the spirit deep down in my soul. Mercy, mercy. I chased the spirit through the store. Zoom, zing. I wished for the spirit everywhere. Ho, ho, ho. I spread the spirit with my smile. Dazzle, dazzle. The spirit is here. The spirit is you. The spirit is to discover something new. Peace for all, good tidings and cheer. Let's live the spirit every day of the year. So this book was to help us welcome in the Christmas spirit. So, all right, that's our story for today.
Thank
Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions to 501c3 organizations or neighborhood church-based social justice activities that are making a difference in our community and the world. You can donate in one of two ways. You can use your cell phone to donate by texting the number on the screen. Or if you'd prefer, donate in person, put your donation in one of the designated boxes during the music or after the service. There's a donation box here in the front, or in the back, narthex entryway on the table. You may rise during the music to put your donation in the box if you wish. Please extend help to those in your neighborhood who may need assistance reaching the donation boxes. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge or contribution to church operations, make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the donation box. This week, our gifts will support the diverse and revolutionary UU multicultural ministries known as DRUM. Here to tell you more is James Coombs.
I am using my large format cell phone today to because I can make it bigger. Good morning, my name is James Coombs. My pronouns are he, him. I am tall, I am follically challenged and bald. I'm wearing a green pullover. I identify as African American or black. I have been a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, and I've been a member of Neighborhood Church since 1996. I've also been involved with DRUM since 1998. As mentioned, DRUM stands for Diverse and Revolutionary Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries, and I love the fact that people aren't giggling because people have gotten used to the name and the length, which I appreciate. It is the people of color movement within Unitarian Universalism. There is a partner organization called Allies for Racial Equity for our white allies that participate, and locally we have a group here called Neighborhood People of Color, which is considered one of the oldest chapters of DRUM in the denomination. With Neighborhood People of Color, we have local monthly meetings where we plan activities and we're engaged in fellowship with each other. It works similar to a chalice circle. Not the same, but similar. And some of you may be familiar with what we do locally with the annual Juneteenth barbecue and potluck, amongst other activities. Nationally, what DRUM does is it creates a brave and a safe space for people of color within the denomination. It allows individuals across congregations to be able to network and create a sense of critical mass. In some places like Neighborhood Church, we have a large group of folks, but in some places there may only be a few people of color, and DRUM helps provide support for them across the denomination. DRUM is involved in development and implementation of retreats and trainings and worships. We reach out and do work for youth and young adults and multiracial family gatherings, both in person and online. Every spring, DRUM presents a community worship that is open to the entire denomination and beyond. In one of the first DRUM public worships, actually, Zaneta and Wells were actually the featured musicians in that one. Neighborhood Church is a sponsoring partner of that worship, and they partner through today's collection. A little bit more about me. I first came to General Assembly in 1998, so I've been a member here since '96. I go to General Assembly in Rochester, New York in the summer of 1998, and I was invited to a gathering where there were over 200 people gathered in a suite at a hotel. And my first reaction was that there must be something horribly wrong. To have that many people of color gathered in one space, in a Unitarian Universalist space, was overwhelming. It was powerful. It was a door that I walked in that I can't necessarily walk back out of. As I mentioned, I'd grown up in the denomination, and I never knew that there was a critical mass like that within the denomination, so it was pretty special for me. 27 years later, this is now a normalized experience for a lot of our members. Church helps me with my values throughout the week, and during the past 5 years at work, I've been heavily involved in anti-racism work in Los Angeles County and the Department of Mental Health, trying to serving the communities that we do. I've been involved in anti-racism work through DRUM and through Unitarian Universalism for 25 years, and going to church, being involved in DRUM has really supported my involvement in those spaces. So what the Share the Plate collection for Drum Today helps with, it helps with infrastructure. There are costs associated with gathering of a national organization. There is leadership development. There's, as I mentioned, there are communities that do not have critical mass, so resources are available to them, both in person and also online. If any of you are interested, you can go to www.drum.org, drumm.org. We are engaged in youth and young adult retreats, and the future is progressively more inclusive in Unitarian Universalism because of organizations like Drum. So I thank you for your support.
Thank you for giving generously.
Our first anthem, sung in German, is titled Es ist ein Ros entsprungen, and is translated by Theodore Baker. Lo, how a rose ere blooming from tender stem hath sprung, of Jesse's lineage coming, as men of old have sung. It came, a flower bright, amid the cold of winter, when half gone was the night. Isaiah 'twas foretolded, the rose I have in mind. With Mary we behold it, the Virgin Mother kind, to show God's love aright. She bore to men a Savior, when half gone was the night. This is Es ist ein Ros entsprungen. I was like trying to translate, I was translating the English into German and back and forth.
The reading selection that I have for you this morning is from a book entitled Pastrix, that's P-A-S-T-R-I-X, The Cranky, Beautiful Faith of a Sinner and Saint, written by Lutheran pastor Nadia Bolz-Weber. Now, Pastrix is a pejorative term that she's embracing for a woman pastor. Now, a few things that you might need to know before I give you this selection is that she is a Lutheran pastor. She comes from a Christian tradition. She has a complicated history with religion that I will talk with you about in a few minutes. She's unapologetically and very boldly progressive, and she uses colorful language. The selection I'm going to read to you from this book is during She's describing her spiritual journey from fundamentalism to becoming a progressive pastor, including a not so tongue-in-cheek representation of her short time with Unitarian Universalism. She writes this: "While in California, I spent several months trying like hell to be a Unitarian. Quakerism didn't work for me. Wicca was great, but I always felt like I was just visiting, so I hoped Unitarianism would be just right. Unitarians are such smart, good people. They seem so hopeful. They vote Democrat, and they recycle, and they love women, and they let you believe anything you want to. And I wanted to be one of them so badly, but I couldn't pull it off. 4 years of sobriety hadn't come to me as a result of hopefulness and positive thinking. It was grace, and Unitarians just don't talk much about our need for God's grace. They have a higher opinion of human beings than I have ever felt comfortable claiming. As someone who both reads the paper and knows the condition of my own heart, having had the experience of getting sober and feeling like God interrupted my bullshit life, I couldn't be comforted by my own divinity or awesomeness, although I'd love it if I could. In the end, as much as I desperately wanted to be Unitarian, I couldn't, because what I needed was a specific divine source of reconciliation and wholeness, a source that is connected to me in love, but does not come from inside me." And thus ends our reading.
I like to think about stars a lot during this time of year. Perhaps you do too. This is a poem called "There Will Be Stars" by Sarah Teasdale. Maybe a little different take on some stars. There will be stars over the place forever. Though the house we loved and the street we loved are lost, every time the earth circles her orbit on the night the autumn equinox is crossed, 2 stars we knew, poised on the peak of midnight, will reach their zenith. Stillness will be deep. There will be stars over the place forever while we sleep. Here's "There Will Be Stars."
Stars over the place forever.
There are many statements that I find true in that reading that I selected from Pastrix by Nadia Bolz-Weber. One, I would agree, Unitarians are such smart, good people. Two, I do think we tend to recycle. And we love women. And three, we don't talk that much about God's grace. I agree with that. That is true. But there's something that I struggle with a little bit in the rest of her statement. I admit, the first time I read it, her sort of tongue-in-cheek assertion that we are such a hopeful people. What does it mean to be a people of hope? What does it mean to be hopeful? What does it mean to be aspirational in our faith? And I wonder why I wrestle with that a little bit, because she's poking a little bit of fun at us in that statement as well. Now, for Nadia Bolz-Weber, this being hopeful, this being a person of faith, means finding a source external to herself, something larger than herself that helps her be made whole. Something larger than herself that allows for grace even when, or especially when, everything is bad or wrong, hard or painful. A power greater than herself that isn't always hopeful or aspirational, but is loving nonetheless. Bolz-Weber, who is unabashedly progressive Lutheran pastor, she's also a public theologian. She was raised in a very conservative evangelical Christian church. And as a young adult, she found refuge from the confusion of her religious upbringing, an upbringing in which she was taught that women were not allowed to preach. She found refuge in alcohol and drugs and risky behavior. After becoming sober and then going through a stage of experimentation in different spiritual homes, she found herself in a progressive Lutheran environment that really spoke to her. And then she went to seminary as an adult and founded the Church for All Sinners and Saints in Denver, Colorado. Now, she preached there for over a decade before founding herself as a public theologian. In short, her Christian faith rests on the reconciliation of the grittiness of human reality and love that God extends to all, including her anyway. Now, she and I are theologically quite different, but there is enough overlap there in our worldviews and some of our history that I find her normally deeply compelling. So her assertion that Unitarians are full of hope, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I admit, I laughed, and then I thought, wait, I actually feel some unease with this. There is an undertone of irony there, and I felt uncomfortable with that. I was like, yes, we are a people of hope. I am hopeful. Maybe I'm not. I think she's right, though. I think Unitarians, I think we are a hopeful people. I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure that's always positive. I think I have a hope problem. I think we might have a hope problem. I think we have a hope problem because we expect all of our wholeness, all of our love and grace, all of this to come from each one of us individually. As in, we expect to create this for ourselves, like individual little power plants of grace and wholeness and hope, that we individually must be the reconciliation force in our own lives. A sort of pull yourself up by the religious bootstraps kind of hope problem, right? This is exhausting. This is exhausting. I think a lot about this because I do ultimately believe that my faith is a delicate balance of acceptance of what is with aspiration for what could possibly be. a balance of hope that isn't foolish or foundationless, for a reality that accepts the possibility of change. But I also I'm wrestling with the idea that hope can actually lead to despair when it doesn't bear the fruits that we are expecting. Instead of being a cure, when does hope become a problem? When does hope become aspiration? When does aspiration become expectation? And what happens when our expectations are unrealistic? Individualistic imaginings of something unattainable, when we individually try to carry too much responsibility for our own individual outcomes. Now, there's a story from a UU clergy friend of mine that resonates with me this time of year. Now, she gave me permission to share this story with you all a few years ago, but I'm still going to refer to her by her nickname of Jen to preserve her identity. Jen and her husband have 3 children, and at the time of this story, they were all under the age of 10. And they and their family celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas, as many of us do. Jen serves as a minister to a medium-sized congregation on the East Coast of the United States. And like many congregations, including ours, her congregation observes all of the holidays of the season: Advent, solstice, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. It's a busy time. A lot of candles. We love that. So she told the story of this particular fateful evening in December a few years ago when she had just finished preparing the sermon for the next day's Christmas Eve service. So it was Christmas Eve. She was finishing up, it was about 9:30, and her husband picked her up from church. They had a discussion in the car about what they should do to prepare. They still had some preparations left to take care of, and they decided to make a quick stop at Target on the way home because they were out of Scotch tape. It's a problem this time of year. It was going to be open until 11, so they reasoned they had plenty of time. They had left their kids with her parents that night, so they were able to do this without having 3 kids in the back seat. It was going to be easy. They were just going to swing into the store real quick, grab the tape, and get home in time to do some more preparations so that she could get up the next morning and do Christmas Eve service and then do the whole thing, right? So she recounts that they purposely arrived in Target with plenty of time. But as soon as they entered, she felt immediately guilty when she saw the tired faces of every employee there. Eyes sort of glazed over from the days of harried shoppers. Jen and her husband reasoned that they didn't need a cart. They were just there for Scotch tape, right? So as quickly as they could, they were just going to run, get it, and run out. But along the way, they picked up a few items, right, like dishwashing detergent, because you're going to need that over the holidays, and they should get a gallon of milk. It would be better to do it now, right, just in case. And batteries, because everything needs batteries. Why does everything need batteries? Better to have more. And while she was running through the store, she spotted that her favorite kombucha was on sale. And not having a cart, she grabbed a couple of the bottles and stuck them under her arm, which is a little dubious, but she was an experienced mom and was used to carrying all sorts of stuff like that. So as they made their way to the front of the store, they heard the announcement that the store was going to be closing soon. Phew. They had almost made it. Their pace sort of quickened because, they didn't want to be those people, especially the pastor keeping employees late. So they came to that front area in front of the cash register and quick check, did they remember the tape, the original reason? Yes, okay, good, her husband had it, she had forgotten it. And while they closed in on the cash register with the shortest line, Jen realized that the precariousness of the items that she was juggling was beginning to slip. ever so slowly out of her arms, she felt the 2 glass bottles of kombucha, once tucked so carefully, slowly lose battle with gravity, and she paused in horror as if stuck in quicksand, and the bottles crashed to the floor, one after another, spraying lemon ginger kombucha and shards of glass into a 10-foot circle around her. She froze, as did her husband, and all of the eyes of the tired employees turned to look at them at the same time. The Right Reverend Jen, sopping wet from the knees down, dress slacks speckled with shards of glass, fought the urge to yell expletives real loud. She had just finished writing a sermon on the peace of the season. After all, she felt like that would have been wrong. And her husband, bless him, in a moment marked by guilt and duty, exclaimed to everyone and to no one in particular, "Oh God, I'll clean it up." The employees, of course, didn't let him clean it up, instead assuring them to kindly pay and get the hell out of the store. When she was retelling the story to a group of minister friends, she said that the car ride home was a special kind of silent. You know, that silence in a couple after an event, you know, the capital E kind of event. She said that she mumbled to her husband in kind of an apology, "It's because we didn't have a list." So when does hope become aspiration? At what point in that story did she hope, did she aspire to, and did she expect she was going to be able to carry it all? When do we rely on individualistic grit? We're going to get something done without asking for help. When does that become unrealistic expectation of perfection and wholeness? We can carry it all, right? We can carry it all, but at the risk of dropping too much. It's pretty easy for me to do this, especially during a holiday season. How about you? Do you struggle with expectations from your childhood about what should be done during the holiday season and how it should be done? I know I do. Do you struggle with trying to juggle just a little bit too much? Or do you ask for help? Or do you anticipate the help that your loved ones are going to need? I certainly do this. I forget. Do I go to the grocery store and assume I don't need a basket because I'm just running in for one thing? Yes. Have you ever been so hopeful of all that you can accomplish in one day that you lose track of what was really important? What was the one thing that you needed to do that day? And you find yourself running one last unplanned errand just to try and fit it all in, and inevitably that's the one. It's all fun and games until the glass kombucha bottle drops on the floor at 11 p.m. in a Target on Christmas Eve. So yes, I agree with Nadia Bolz-Weber. We are a people of hope and aspiration, even when it comes down to carrying the kombucha. But I also think that this can mean that we are a people who try and fit it all in. We carry too much individually without the help of others in our community, even when, especially when, I think, it might serve us well to pause and consider what is healthy, what is realistic, what would fill us with joy, what is the true thing we should be doing right now. Especially when we overly rely on ourselves to be a fountain of unending stamina. 8 arms for carrying things as if we're going to sprout extra ones. Patience flowing unbidden from the core of our beings, especially in the moments when we could use a little grace from some source outside of ourselves. especially when we could allow ourselves to be made whole by forces beyond ourselves, by that which is greater than ourselves. So yes, let us continue to be a people of hope, of course. Let us write lists full of aspirations we have, whether it's the shopping list, always a good idea, especially if you're hungry, right? Or a bold list of what you want this church to be in the world. Yes, write a list. If it's for your personal life or for your congregational life or how you hope our country will be in the future. This is a season of lists, after all. But I also suggest you have a list of to-don'ts. Okay, we got a to-do list a mile long. Write a to-don't list. Don't succumb to individualism so strongly that you must feel like you have to do it all alone. Don't forget that we are in a season now meant to celebrate magic, mystery, and rebirth, not the quantity of how much you can purchase or do, or how much you can spend, or how much you can bake. Don't forget that there is something bigger than you, than me, than us individually, bigger than us as a people gathered here, a hope that loves us despite and because of our quirkiness, because of our failings, and because of our broken aspirations. Now, for my Lutheran colleague, Pastor Nadia Boltz-Weber, that force is God. God who extends grace to her even if, or perhaps especially when she falters. For you or for me, maybe that force is God. Maybe it's the goddess or God X, or maybe we call that spirit of life, or maybe it's the light of the moon, or the lick of a compassionate and soulful dog at our sides when we're feeling down. Or maybe that can be even found in the delighted giggle of a grandchild. Something that is greater than us, that reminds us that we are not alone. There is a hope that doesn't rely on answers from within, but it requires us to be vulnerable and open to the connections with others. It is larger than we are ourselves alone. It is a hope that doesn't easily have a name or a location, but it allows us rest when we are weary. It allows us centeredness in a world that is pulling us in so many different directions. And it is revealed to us in process, not in meeting an objective. It's in the process. As Thomas Merton writes, in the end, hope is the reality of personal relationship that saves everything. May it be so.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 226, People Look East.
Our words of benediction come from Nadia Boltz-Weber in the form of a prayer for hopefulness, lest I leave you with the impression that she is also not a person of hope. She writes this, a prayer for gloomy thinkers. Dear God, all day long when my thoughts get gloomy, is this the end of days? Will AI take over everything just like in those movies? Should I invest in a bunker? I try to redirect my thoughts to this. Where is beauty happening in this very moment? Who might need some help today? But that amount of redirection is taking a lot of energy, Lord, and maybe that's contributing to the exhaustion. What I am trying to say, God, is that if you could help me pivot my restless brain from gloom to gladness, even just like 10% faster, that would make a huge difference. Oh, and thanks for this day and everything beautiful in my life that I did not earn or create, and for dogs and flowers. Amen.